Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet. Created by who again? We the people. You the people. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great program for you today. But before we get started, we need to pass it on to the geniuses in El Studio, which are Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bebba. Buenos dias, hermanos.
Jack always deserves top billing over me because I crawl into the back door every morning and it's working. He says, "Oh yeah, it's working fine." So he deserves top billing as always. It is Monday morning at the radio, the 28th of April, 2025, as the month of April slips away. And over the weekend, I was having some thoughts here about certain callers who call in and try to divert what's going on. So let me address this. Letitia James, right? Having problems. What does that have to do with the trial? It doesn't. Does that mean that because she's having problems or she might have recused herself or should have? Does that mean that the trial wouldn't go on? Does that mean that the crime did not get committed? See, that's the thinking of some people. Oh, well, Letitia James, a flawed prosecutor. Well, she's having to prosecute someone for a crime that they committed. Does the crime go away? Did they not commit the crime then? Oh, well, just because the prosecutor was flawed, the crime is no longer a crime. It's called critical thinking. And there are people who don't do that. And they call into this show and they wonder why they have some issues. So that's my rant for today.
What a rant.
Well, look, when you call in, if you're calling about a particular subject, stay on subject. Don't try to, like Jack and I do, derail the show every day.
I love it.
In fact, Jack has a darn near a full page of wisdom here, so I think we should get to that because I just about run out of things to say.
Okay.
Good morning, Berto. How are you?
Good. I'm doing fine. Jack, how is my brother doing?
I'm good. I'm just going to kind of parrot your subjects back to you, except for one. Newsweek, Trump's first 100 days approval rating double digits below Biden and Obama. Who'd have thought that? Senator Chuck Schumer believes the Democratic Party is doing very well. Kind of like a boy whistling in the dark trying to keep his courage up, I guess. And this is the serious one. GOP activist turned federal prosecutor sends threatening letters to medical journals. One doctor and public health advocate called on editors to join together and publicly renounce this as more thinly guised anti-science political blackmail. What this means is they're threatening doctors' rights to free speech.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't stop.
They're going to intimidate them out of it.
Well, it's not going to stop. When Trump said, "I'm going to be dictator on day one," he wasn't going to stop at day one, and he hasn't. And I read a very interesting post on Facebook about executive orders not being laws. So,
yeah, true.
Yeah, Congress makes laws. The president doesn't. Executive orders are not laws. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to follow them, if you can just look at them and go, forget it.
Well, usually they write usually they write the executive order in a manner that clarifies the law, and then Congress can come back and say, "Nah, that is not what we meant at all. You can't do that." But presidents in what they like to call the unitary executives have tried to extend that because, again, by constitutional law, The president simply executes laws that were passed by Congress. Period.
Yes.
Nothing more, nothing less. And then there are powers granted to the presidents in emergencies that, again, the Congress can overturn. The president is only there to execute laws created by Congress, and the judiciary is there to say, well, Congress, the laws that you pass maybe didn't follow the letter of the law of the Constitution, and therefore it's not constitutional. And even the president's execution of any of the congressional laws can be can be interpreted by the judiciary saying, no, what you're doing is not following the law as written by Congress. So, all of that it's a law of the land. Now, all of this depends on these people being fulfilling the will of the Constitution, and that is follow what we're saying. Now, anybody can say we are simply not going to follow the Constitution. That then becomes a dictator. And anytime Donald Trump doesn't follow one of these laws, he is, in fact, a dictator. Name of the game. Anyhow, getting started, folks. Welcome aboard. On the chat, welcome Alice Erin Dreams from, I know right here in Texas, but I know the town. I'm thinking about it. Lisa Blair, Katie. I don't remember. Lisa, are you from Katy, Texas? Or are you? No, from Atlanta. Lisa Blair is from Atlanta, Georgia. Alice Erin Dreams is from, I forget. Welcome aboard, folks. And then, of course, we have a whole bunch in Substack. Christy, Glenn, Garbino, Ira, Gloria Guzman, Sandy Burns, John Haley, Amy, Will Robertson, Annette Blanco, Sophia Moreau, Thomas G. Moore, Carol Dion, Betsy Ham, Kay, Wilbur Franklin, Daryl Hill, Wilby, Hamilton, Elman, Dinah Moore, Karen, and many, many, many others. Thank you for being here. Judith Osborne says she's from Illinois. Bonnie Warren says hi. Egberto Gela Cunes says morning from Georgia. Thank you all for being here early in the morning. Georgia, you guys at least are an hour ahead, but our friend in Los Angeles, California, is a whole 2 hours behind. Anyway, I want to start with where Jack, left off about, because I think he's correct. This is the most of the topics that we are discussing today. This is the most important one, and it's something that I came across on one of my favorite independent rags, Common Dreams, and it's titled "The GOP Activist Turned Federal Prosecutor Sends Threatening Letters to Medical Journals." And he says reports of letters that an interim U.S. attorney has sent to several medical journals in the United States prompted a show of solidarity. Thank you from the UK-based Lancet on Friday, with the publication denouncing their harassment of journals and warning it comes amid wider radical dismantling of the U.S. Scientific infrastructure. The letters containing questions about the academic journal's bias come a year after Health and Human Service Secretary Robert E. Lee Kennedy said he hoped to prosecute medical journals and accused the New England Journal of Medicine, which condemned President Donald Trump's response to the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, of lying to the public. So you see where this is going. The New England Journal of Medicine decided to tell the truth. Donald Trump botched coronavirus, COVID. How did he do that? Like I've mentioned before, the truth of the matter is that at any time, we could have done a much better job in arresting the spread of COVID. But because of a non-science-based, I don't want to use the word to describe our president, we got over 1 million Americans killed. And this never had to be. And the world never had to go through this, because many a president before, when they found the genesis of some potential pandemic, they have gone out there and did the work, send the scientists, send the engineers to do the work to mitigate it before it exploded out of hand. That shouldn't be happening in the year 20 something. The letters from interim U.S. Attorney Edward Martin, who has previously been accused of using his office to target Trump's critics, are an obvious ruse to strike fear into journals and impinge on their right to independent editorial foresight, said The Lancet. NEJM is one of the at least 4 medical journals that have received the correspondence from Martin recently, according to medical professionals. Reference the peer-reviewed journalist Chess, which is published by the American College of Chest Physicians, received a letter on April 14 with the following questions. How do you assess your responsibilities to protect the public from misinformation? That answer should be, we just won't do what the Trump administration always does. How do you clearly articulate to the public when you have certain viewpoints that are influenced by your ongoing relations with supporters, funders, and advertisers and others? Again, the answer should be, we simply make sure not to follow what Donald Trump does, from his cryptocurrency to DJI stock to all of that, where he sells his soul to the highest bidder. The next question they ask, do you accept articles or essay from competing viewpoints? In science, there are not competing viewpoints. They're not viewpoints. You bring evidence to the table, you figure out if they're fact-based, and then you get posted in the journal. In the event that somebody creates some lie, etc., you mitigate that. But this isn't science is not an opinion. It's not an opinion that if you let go of a ball in the current in our current dimension, that it falls to the ground. That's not up for debate. Gravity is not up for debate. Relativity is not up for debate. Science is science. So when you have a silly statement like, "Do you accept articles or essay from competing viewpoints?" No. If you want to get into the journal, give your articles with statement of facts. If all of these are statement of facts, they will come to similar conclusions. Water is always going to be H2O, heavy water H3O, right? So, I mean, that is a type of stuff that they pass to these journals. And the idea is to simply corrupt the system, that no longer absolutes are absolutes. Everything is then fungible. You no longer have a base to stand on. And what we found is that a whole lot of folks on the right have made the people who follow them not very smart by giving them the opinion, or giving them the belief that in science, opinion matters. Opinion doesn't matter. I don't feel like that would really cause a fire. You don't feel like that will cause a fire? What does the science say? And that, it's not up for debate. And the problem we have with too many on the right is that they have left a lot of things open for debate that are not open for debate. As Judith Osborne says, opinions are not facts or science. Thank you, Judy from Substack. Oh, you know what? I have a call. I know what this call is about. Bernard Sampson, come on in, Bernard. How you doing?
Hello?
Yeah, Bernard, you're on. How you doing, my dear brother?
Doing wonderful. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I know that you have an announcement to make about an important event today. Please go ahead and let us hear about it, my brother.
Okay, thank you very much. First off, I think everyone's aware of what the Trump administration is doing against immigrants, against U.S. citizens, against everyone. And so we have a large immigrant and May Day march coming up Saturday, May the 3rd, next Saturday. And we just wanted to let people know about it. We have quite a coalition put together. So next Saturday, we're going to be marching. We're going to meet at 5800 Bellaire Boulevard at 10 a.m. And we're going to march down to Burnett Balin Park on Chimney Rock. It's not a long march at all. And we have quite a few organizations involved now. We have the Alencia Latina International. We have People Before Profits. We have the AFL-CIO. We have 5051. We have Steelworkers, Retirees. We have the Houston Peace and Justice Center. And we have the Brown Berets. And then there's others as well that are coming on board now. So we're going to march down to Burnett Balin Park, and then there'll be speeches, tables set up with literature, etc. And there's going to be a press conference coming up this Thursday at 12 o'clock at the Salvadorian consulate, because that's where a lot of people have been sent to prison. And we thought that would be a just place to have the press conference. So the press conference is at 12 o'clock at the Salvadorian consulate at 8300 Bissonnet Street, which is Suite 400. Of course, we'll be outside. And then Saturday, a few days later, we'll be having the march. So and we like to invite everyone to come because, you know, the noose is tightening around our necks. This isn't just attack on immigrants. You know, now they're going after U.S. citizens, they're going after citizens of other countries that just come to visit the United States. You know, you have people that are green card holders, permanent residents, and what's next? And this has happened in the past. You know, it happened during the McCarthy era. It happened under Operation Let Back under Eisenhower. And of course, it happened in 1920, where they, again, probably deported 100,000 people. So this is going to be far worse. And I think it's done to intimidate people. It's to make people scared that they don't come out and fight and march. And this just sets the whole tone for everything else, the attacks on the democratic rights of everyone that the Trump administration is planning. So we shouldn't be cowed. We need to come out. We need to fight back. And if we don't do it now, it's going to be too late later.
Bernard, you know, I find it, first of all, thank you for all the work that you do to keep people informed, to keep people activated into supporting their own democracy. I think you nailed it in that unless people come out and let it be known that they won't accept this behavior, unconstitutional behavior, illegal behavior, that they're going to come out. So I think what you're doing is a darn good job to ensure that we come out. I'm going to ask you to come back maybe on you said that the march is on Saturday. To give us a call on Friday to remind folks. A lot of times, you know, today's just Monday. Kind of let people prepare themselves that maybe there's something that they need to attend on Saturday, but then on Friday, remind them, recue them that, hey, this is something for us all. And as a naturalized American citizen, right now, I actually have fears to go back to Panama with regards to coming back in. I mean, there's a whole lot of folks, because my passport says, well, again, it's an American passport. I'm an American citizen, but it says born in Panama. Some people says born in Lithuania. Some people says born in Jamaica. Some people says born in Canada. You know, there are a lot of people that are students foregoing coming to the United States because they fear an irrational administration that is simply chaotic and really doesn't care about human rights or anything else. Anything else you want to say, Bernard, before we move on to the next caller?
Well, I just wanted to say you're totally correct on that. I can talk personally about people I know who are told by lawyers that if they leave the country, there's a 50-50 chance they'll be detained when they come back. I'd just like to leave with one statement that if you're wondering what you would have done in Germany in 1932, a year before Hitler came to power, you're doing it now.
Thank you so kindly for that. And you have a wonderful rest of your day, Bernard.
Thank you, Egberto, and keep up the good work.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, folks, let's go ahead and bring John into the conversation. John, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I'm checking on a story this weekend that I saw where they're removing, I think the DC News reported that, and I don't want y'all to forget this, y'all didn't mention it this morning, I thought you would, that they're removing artifacts out of the Smithsonian. historical artifacts.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't
DEI. DEI.
Yeah, right. And so I wrote my congressman because he wrote me an absurd letter in response to mine to him about what is he doing about checking, doing the checks and balances on the executive branch. And so in response to that, he told me they're making America great again. So when I got this article, I sent it to him, and I said, okay, how does this make America great again? You know, and I just don't understand it, why the mainstream media isn't absolutely jumping on this. This is an attack on our culture, just like the school district attacks. You know, and I don't understand. I see the article on Yahoo News this morning, and it's totally misleading. It's totally misleading. How they report it.
Let me tell you, the news media is actually, the mainstream news media is actually running scared. They have unloaded a whole lot of people out of the mainstream media. They're all making deals. I don't know if anybody saw 60 Minutes last night, but the executive producer of 60 Minutes quit because the owners of CBS is in a deal to sell a part of CBS to some other company that will require FCC approval, etc. So in the process, since 60 Minutes is an accurate and critical teller of truth, now the leaders in CBS want to be able to tell them what to do. So the executive producer says that's not going to happen under my watch, and he quit. And what I found astounding in last night's 60 Minutes is that at the end of the program, I don't remember the name of the correspondent, the 60-minute correspondent comes on and says, the reason we are proud of our former executive producer who left because the leaders wanted to tell us at 60 Minutes how and what to report. We're not doing, so far, it hasn't happened that they've had to change their stories, but they understand that people want input in their stories, which, presents a problem. We're talking just like the story that I started with that Jack introduced with them trying to tell the AMA and these different journals what to do or what to say or how to say it. It's a problem. What Bernard is talking about, us getting out there and taking back our democracy, is actually what we have to do. Because you're going to keep reading things like you've read, John. Let me just say it with respect to trying to change history or hide history. You can only hide it from the people who want to have it hidden from. But the rest of the world knows our history. John, the rest of our world knows our history. I'm from Central America. I had to learn all of American history before I came to this country, and also during the naturalization process. Sadly,
and I learned,
go ahead.
I learned our history growing up here. I learned my history by growing up here in 1949 is when I was born, and I had to live that all my life. I had to live through the civil rights, through the assassinations, through Nixon, through Reagan, all that corruption, and here we are still doing it. And I'm like a lot of people. Right now, there's a lot of people like myself that are just lost on exactly how do we do this and change this, because, like I said, they're attacking our culture. And Howard was right this morning. I say the same thing about people that call in and try to divert you. It's absurd, and so at some point it becomes annoying.
Yeah, thank you, John.
What you're doing.
You have a wonderful day, my brother. All right, let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine. Talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I'm 1 month away from 71 years of age, and I'm going to make every effort to make that march. I have multiple health problems, including a double aorta femoral bypass, artificial artery to my legs, and I'm going to come out and walk. So, able-bodied listeners out there, if I can do it, you can do it. I want to thank you for defending science. You know, one of my pet peeves is the rise of pseudoscience and how dangerous it is. The other thing I want to say, as far as universities, the rest of the world's always been jealous of our great universities. That's why people come here from India, from Panama, from everywhere.
Exactly.
Leave the universities alone, hands off. And last but not least, the way Peter Hegseth is degenerating right before our eyes. There could come a day when, if you wanted to know about where our next military strike is, you'll simply say, Siri, where's our next strike coming? How? When? We're getting there. But anyway, thank you for defending science. And my last thing I always say now, because I truly believe it from what I've read, and I have read up on it, is the way bird flu is adapting. It will sooner or later make the jump. It's coming. All right. We need science. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly for that, Bruce. And when Bruce talked about bird flu jumping to human beings, we better take it seriously, because Kennedy has just cut a whole lot of research, including research in bird flu. Kennedy has also just spoken about creating issues with not Alzheimer's, the autism. I mean, what he's doing to the HHS is going to come back and bite us. I want to say one thing before I get to Robin as well, real quick. Well, actually, I'll say it after. Let's go to Robin, and then I'll say that. Come on in, Robin.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, Robin. How are you doing?
Good. I haven't been listening to this morning's show. I'm cleaning the office that I clean on Monday mornings, and I was listening to your Friday morning show, and it'll be real quick. Ray was talking about, and I feel like he's alluded to wanting to do something similar to what you are doing. And then there was a caller that had some positive, constructive criticism that I just don't think really applied. And I just wanted to express that when people, me as an entrepreneur, when I'm feeling this constant thing of I should do this, that's intuition telling me what I should be doing. And that is always something to trust. There will always be somebody that maybe doesn't see your own vision. And I just wanted to encourage Ray to follow whatever his intuition is saying. And me from Indianapolis, I would totally listen to if he had his own show, and colorful language is always welcome.
Thank you very much for that. And yes, I have a lot of faith in Ray, and believe that a lot of people out there should be, the airwaves, the microphones, taking a position, if you have the time to do the kind of work that I'm doing, that Jack's doing, that's Howard doing, that many others. The field should be open to everybody, because we all have something to offer. You may be able to do it behind a mic. You may be able to do it behind a panel. You may be able to do it. The idea is engagement. And what we have been taught in this country is to just stay behind, leave it to somebody else, or you're not. I mean, again, I come from a family that always goes out there and say, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. And that's what I kind of promote to everybody else. Get out there and do it. I tell you as well, get out there and do it. Anything else, sis?
Nope, I don't need to be told what I need to do, because I just go ahead and do it.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Good luck, Ray.
Thank you. You have a good one now. All right, let's go to Brother Bart. Come on in, Bart.
Good morning, sir. I wanted to address John's call and speak a little bit about DEI, which you know is a pet peeve of mine. Several months ago, there was an airplane crash in Washington, D.C., crashed into a Black Hawk helicopter, and we couldn't find out anything about the pilot until yesterday. We found out that this was a DEI pilot, was a female lesbian that was told by her co-pilot, who's now dead, and by the tower to turn left, get out of the way. She decided not to listen. She was going to do her own thing, and she.
Okay, let me stop you right there. And the reason why is we're not going to use our airwaves.
7 innocent people.
We're not. Goodbye. Goodbye. I want to correct this here because we're not going to pollute the air with crap at all. DEI ensures that we have competent people and we don't get folks like Hegseth who are incompetent, but because of the lack of going through a DEI process, got that job. Somebody once called, I think it was that same person named Bard, called in and said, what we need is MEI, meritocracy, excellence, and intelligence, something that this administration is devoid of. If we had DEI in hiring the people in this administration, we would have gotten MEI, what he wants, meritocracy, excellence, and intelligence. That this administration is devoid of all three of those concepts because, again, DEI was not in use for hiring those folks. Anybody who thinks DEI has something to give some people of color, women, etc., some advantage, they are racist. I repeat this, and I want to repeat it clearly. If after learning the true purpose of DEI, you still keep the same stance, look in the mirror, you will be looking at a racist, a sexist, a homophobic, xenophobe. That is not a question that is debatable. That is a statement of fact. And remember, we are in the fact zone here. All right. Before I go any further, I want to point out that we started with where Jack started, which spoke about the Attorney General trying to get involved with these publications that are based on science, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Now, let me tell you some of the results of what's happening right now. Because they're trying to involve themselves in pseudoscience and a lot of these other things, here is the issue. A lot of our scientists that are getting laid off from our government, a lot of the scientists that are getting their budget cuts at universities, guess what China is doing? Guess what Australia is doing? Guess what many countries in Europe are doing? They're offering all these folks opportunities with labs in their own countries and giving them visas to come to these countries. So all these experts that are doing great work in the United States, scientists that have that have been the leaders in the world in the United States, because we have non-DEI hires who are running our government, who cannot see the future, who cannot see that you build upon past successes and you just don't throw it away. Because those are the people currently leading our country, we are about to have one of the largest brain drains, bar none. As 75% of these scientists said that they're open to move on to another country. All of you who are voting are supporting these troglodytes, all of you that support these troglodytes, a lot of the problems that are going to be a result of the brain drain, a result of losing all these researchers, these scientists, these intellects. A lot of the ultimate result of that will be a continual decline of the United States of America, where we are no longer the science center of the world. Right now, China is a very near second in a lot of different issues. In fact, they've surpassed us in solar. They've surpassed us in electric cars. Why? They've surpassed us in a lot of things because we have moved in the first Trump administration from an environment, from a green, from investing a lot in green energy. And we're being surpassed everywhere else now as our scientists start leaving this country and move on. I tell you, folks, this is not a joke. This is not up for debate, what we're doing to the country. I consider what they're doing to the country treasonous. I consider these people traitors. Because what they're doing to America, no foreign country could do to us. No foreign military could do to us. The systematic destruction of this country is coming from within. And it's coming from within those who like to wrap themselves in the flag. But yet, what they're doing is destroying this country. So please, it is time for everybody to stand up and do what is right. Stand up and make sure you're heard, and stand up and vote appropriately. Yesterday, listening to the morning shows, there were two Democratic senators that got questioned. Minority Leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, and one of my heroes, not Biden, one of my heroes. Wow, when you get a brain, you know what? My Bernie Sanders. Okay, I'm going to first play you Chuck Schumer because it was an embarrassment, and then I'm going to play you Bernie Sanders because I think you're going to see what I'm trying to get across here, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go right now. If you really want to understand why Democrats are underwater, if you really want to understand why, even as the policies progressive Democrats support, that we are not cleaning the clocks of everybody else, the leadership is the problem. I want you to listen to Senator Chuck Schumer and how he answered the questions when Dana Bass asked him about the Democratic Party and where they are. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Let me turn to your party, the Democratic Party, and where you are right now in the quest to try to overtake Republicans, certainly in the short term, in the midterms. Republicans have been facing a lot of heat at town halls, but also Democrats have been as well. And there's a lot of frustration towards members of your party, not just from voters, but we're even hearing it from members of your own caucus. I want you to listen to your colleague, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, what he said this week.
I am furious with the Democratic Party because, in my view, our inability to offer a compelling vision and articulate it to the American people has resulted in Donald Trump being elected not just once, but twice. We need to come to grips with that, and we need to ask ourselves why that is.
What do you think?
Well, look, no, we're doing very well. We are totally united in focusing on Trump on a single message when it, for instance, on tariffs, how chaotic they are and how they have to be focused, on rule of law, how he's not obeying it. And we're showing that to the American people, but also on this upcoming reconciliation bill, where we Democrats have a single message that Trump is trying to make the middle class pay for tax cuts for billionaires. Our whole party, every member of our caucus is united on that issue. Americans hate it, and we are going after them day after day. As I mentioned, I went to 6 Republican districts during our recent Easter Passover break, and talking to the voters, Republican districts, about what Trump is doing and how their congressmen ought not be embracing him. And then 4 of them signed a letter saying, well, they don't want to cut Medicaid. And so we are really united and focused and strong. The contrast that we are making between who the Democratic Party is, the party for working people, and who the Republican Party is, the party for billionaires and especially privileged people, is having a real effect. And that's why he's doing so poorly in these first 100 days. I think we're on our front foot, and every day we are fighting Trump on multiple fronts.
Now, there is a huge problem with the senator's answer. First of all, the man is correct. Donald Trump is breaking the laws, not following the Supreme Court, and it is imperative that the Democrats highlight that. It is also true that Donald Trump's tariffs problems or tariffs that he's putting out there is a tax on the working and middle class to pay for the tax cuts for billionaires. But guess what? That's the same message that Democrats were talking about during the election. I mean, if you really want to understand why Democrats are failing, if you really want the reasons for that, there's another video that I'm putting together with what Bernie Sanders had to say. It is because the Democrats, while they are pointing out all the ills that Donald Trump's causing, they are not building, I'm talking about the traditional Democratic Party, they are not building a vision as far as what being or voting for a Democrat will mean for folks' bottom lines. It is okay to say that Donald Trump's doing all these bad things, but when you are in power and the policies that you put out don't immediately work for the people you want to vote for you, then you are asking for disaster. You are ceding the country to the person who is willing to lie. And that's Donald Trump. Donald Trump says, with my tariffs, it's going to make your life better. It's going to drop prices and these foreign companies are going to pay for the tariffs. Those are lies. But he says it, and he says it with conviction. And his people are listening to him because they don't really have a true alternative message that they understand intrinsically. In other words, a bread and butter answer to that. When he talks about inflation is falling. Well, it's not really falling as it should, but egg prices did go down a bit. But we should be in there saying, and it's going to go up again with what your HHS secretary is doing by not having the support for making sure your eggs don't go through what they went through again. But it is deeper. Now, he should have said immediately when she asked him about the Democratic Party, yes, we are supposed to be pointing out that the tariffs are bad, pointing out that Donald Trump is not following the rule of law, and that's a problem. But let me tell you what electing a Democrat is going to do for you that Donald Trump won't. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about ensuring that you have healthcare for all. He's talking about cutting it. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about childcare. He is cutting it. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about a living wage at all. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about reducing your rents. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about all these issues that are bread and butter issues for you. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about how to get you into a home if you want one. You don't hear Donald Trump talking about how to protect you against those credit card charges that he just overturned by reducing the role of the CFPB. All of these things that the Democrats should be talking about, what I will do for you that you will see immediately. None of that from Chuck Schumer. Oh, we are together and we're united in talking about how bad Donald Trump is doing. And guess what? Have you seen that his poll numbers have gone down? Yeah, but have yours risen? Have our Democratic Party poll numbers risen? Again, one of the reasons you see a lot of senators leaving, they said it's time for new leadership. It is time for the new generation to take over. And they are absolutely correct. Chuck Schumer needs to go. Chuck Schumer is not promoting that which America needs right now for the middle class or the working class. It is clear that he is in a completely, we talk about Donald Trump being in a different world. Chuck Schumer is in an alternate state of reality. If he thinks the Democratic Party is doing just fine, and if he thinks that, well, we are united. No, those people who want good stuff for the American people are united. But I tell you what, I don't see within the leadership the positions that have to be taken for the working class. And one of the reasons for that is many of the same benefactors that are supporting the Republican Party are supporting the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party. And what has to happen is we need to get our youngsters out there And we need to do what is necessary to make life better for the working class, make life better for the middle class, not just in talk, but in bucking that system, bucking that corporatocracy, bucking it and making sure that the people are heard and the support that they need is there, and that we crawl back through effective taxes, that which was stolen from them. Recently, Bernie Sanders appeared on Meet the Press, and one of the first questions that he was asked is about his oligarchy tour. And I think the host, Kristen Welker, missed something. She mentioned a New York Times article where Bernie Sanders encouraged people to run as independents. And she made it look as if it were a slight on the Democratic Party or an attempt to create a third party, etc. It was none of that. I want you to listen to what Bernie had to say about that and the Democratic Party in general, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Let's talk about what you have called your oligarchy tour. You and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been crisscrossing the country, warning of an emerging oligarchy. Senator, you told the New York Times, I'm going to read this quote, one of the aspects of this tour is to try to rally people to get engaged in the political process and run as independents outside of the Democratic Party. As someone who twice ran in the Democratic presidential primary, are you trying to strengthen the Democratic Party? Or, Senator, are you trying to start a third party?
Now, we're not trying to start a third party. What we're trying to do is strengthen American democracy, where faith in both the Democratic and Republican parties right now is extremely low. We are living, Kristen, in the richest country in the history of the world. And yet you got one person, Mr. Musk, who owns more wealth than the bottom 53% of American households. That is insane. That is oligarchy on steroids. Meanwhile, we have 60% of our workers living paycheck to paycheck. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major nation on earth. And we have over 20% of seniors in America living on $15,000 a year or less. What the American people are saying is that they want, and what our tour was about, is to say that they want an economy that works for all of us, not just for Mr. Musk and other billionaires. Now, my concern right now is you have Democrats appropriately, and I'm working with them, talking about Trump's movement toward authoritarianism, vigorously opposing the so-called reconciliation bill to give over $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and make massive cuts to Medicaid, nutrition, and housing, opposing what Musk is doing to dismember the Social Security Administration and the Veterans Administration, making it harder for our veterans to get decent health care or benefits on time. We're on the same page. But what Democrats lack right now is a vision for the future. How are we going to provide a decent standard of living for a younger generation, which, everything being equal, will be poorer than their parents? How do we repair a broken healthcare system? How do we raise the minimum wage to a living wage? How do we deal with a corrupt campaign finance system that allows billionaires to control both political parties? Those are some of the issues that need to be discussed. And we're going out around the country right now asking people, working people, run for office. You want to run as a Democrat? Great. You want to run as an independent? That's great. But you got to get involved in the political process, because right now the two-party system is failing the working class of this country.
Now, I hope folks listen to what Bernie had to say. You know, earlier, before this particular interview, Chuck Schumer, Senator Chuck Schumer, a minority leader in Senate, was asked if he thought, what's wrong with the Democratic Party? Is it doing what it's supposed to do or something to that nature? And his answer was, the Democratic Party is doing just fine and there is unity. And then he started to make mentions about all the bad things that Donald Trump is doing. And we're letting the Americans know that Donald Trump, they're doing all these bad things. And I sat there and I listened to the interview and I waited and I waited and I waited. And the problem is he never actually gave a vision or told what Democrats were going to do for the American people, the middle class, the working class. He never came on and gave proactive solutions to problems we know Americans have. Now, Bernie understands that the Democratic Party in many areas of this country is persona non grata. And what that means is if you want progressives to win, people who are going to go into Congress and really provide not the corporate direction, which is less taxes, less regulations, no social programs of consequence. You have to get people in there who are going to not toe that plutocratic oligarchic line. And in some areas, that may actually mean people running outside the party system. As he said, people have lost faith in the party system and more so in the Democratic Party. Not that the Democratic Party don't talk a good game, because they do. The Democratic Party has all the right words. The problem is the solutions don't seem to apply. If we take a look at what happened under Biden, how Sinema and Manchin, two Democrats, really screwed over the working class. And Manchin is from the poorest state one of the poorest states in the country. And he ensured that policies that would protect his poor, which is a large percentage of his population, they wouldn't get it. And then he had the nerve to imply that these people were lazy, or if they got assistance, they would just drink the assistance away. These are Democrats. So, people already expect bad things from Republicans. They don't expect a lot of good things, but a lot of times their vote is to stick it to those who claim they're going to do something and don't. And if you listen to what Bernie said at the end, Bernie's message is a message that working class America, that middle class America want to hear. Universal health care, child care, support for colleges and the whole works. Have a vision, and not just a vision, but a plan for that vision as you call out Donald Trump. But don't tell folks, oh, we are on the right footing and that we have unity. That we don't. The reality is unity will come about when all of the Democratic Party truly supports the middle class, the working class, and not just sit down with a handout from the oligarchy who then gets all the favors and not solutions for those who need it most, folks. All right, folks. So that was the piece that I wanted you to hear from Bernie Sanders. Anyway, we have two callers on the line. Let's go to Brian first. Brian, you got about 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. Okay, Friday, I had a discussion about the left wing screaming up and down about the loss of women's reproductive rights. And Howard came on and said, no, there's no executive order. Actually, the article that he wrote proved my point when it said it was a financial disagreement and it made no changes to the existing laws. So you need to look that up. And thanks for that, Howard. And what about Bernie Sanders and his socialist programs? No, there should be no free health care in the United States or free college. Nothing is free.
Okay, that is where you guys completely misinformed. Nobody wants free college. Nobody wants free health care. What we want is health care for all, paid for with our tax dollars. Education for all, paid for with our tax dollars. The idea that it's free is simply silly. We're all paying for it. Every time you use your tax dollars, you're paying for a hell of a lot of things that, first of all, you don't use. But we come with, that's the definition of society. The problem with too many on the right is they don't understand the truth. Well, they chose to be willfully ignorant by the indoctrination by those they listen to. Close up real quick for me. I got to go to Betty.
Okay, so wait a minute. The college debt forgiveness program, who paid for that? I did. Through my tax dollars.
Guess what? The person who has a debt paid for it as well. So again, like I gave you the bottom line. The bottom line is nothing is free. We all collectively pay it, and we all collectively benefit from those who are educated. So I mean, again, yes, you did. Expand your horizon and expand your thinking. Let's talk tomorrow. Come on in, Betty.
Morning, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm Bart. Smart aleck kid fun games is all he does about women, blacks, and blues. Bart, the boo-boo on your butt is there to stay. That's why you can't sit down. Bart, you're not even a Caucasian. That means like you're not even one white. Love y'all.
Oh boy. Okay, all you, bro. All you, Howard.
Well, just to be clear, Brian, you said he has not written any executive orders affecting women's rights, not reproductive rights, but women's rights. So I believe that credit and financial is women's rights too. So please be clear. Don't muddy the water.
There you go.
Take it home, Egberto.
Jack doesn't have anything to say?
Well, he says no.
All right. Okay, folks, look, first of all, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening. All you folks on Substack, all you folks on YouTube, all you folks on Instagram, all you folks on Twitter, thank you so kindly for being here. We're going to continue to expand our horizon. You know, there's nothing wrong with learning or changing your mind, changing opinions, etc. Thank you for being here. Love you all. You can actually write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. You can find all the videos and articles at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Thank you so kindly for being here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream